Mortal Kombat is one of the best loved fighting series, with many people enjoying the dark, horror-influenced settings, the mad stories, and the unique gameplay system. But the thing that it's most well known for is arguably fatalities. Mortal Kombat introduced the concept of special finishing moves to the one-on-one fighting genre, and did so with style, with every fatality being gorier than the last. With 10 main games under its belt, and many more spin-offs featuring hundreds of characters, coming up with unique and interesting fatalities for each of them was always going to be a tall order. Today, I marked down 5 of the worst, least inspired and downright boring fatalities. My criteria for a good fatality is that it utilises unique animations and graphics not seen in the main game, is creative and a little insane, it uses unique traits from the characters, and most of all, when you see it, it makes you go, oh bloody hell. I've judged all of these against that, and these are the ones I think come off worst. Welcome to my top 5 worst Mortal Kombat fatalities. Tanya's neck break fatality in Mortal Kombat 4 is less a finishing move than something you might see Black Widow do in the Avengers. She jumps up on the opponent and spins her body until the neck breaks and she is able to kill the opponent. There's barely any gore, it's just overall quite boring. It doesn't really utilise her character in any way, and frankly it's less impressive than the special moves she does in the actual battle. Johnny Cage's second fatality in Mortal Kombat 2 sees him uppercut the opponent 3 times and watches their head is decapitated 3 times. This one fails on all of my criteria. It's something that every character in the game could do, doesn't utilise anything made custom for the fatality, just uses its regular fighting animations and is frankly boring. Johnny Cage is one of the best characters in the series, so it's always a shame when he isn't given the best fatalities. Ermac is kind of a rubbish character to begin with, the least interesting of all the ninja clones. It makes sense then he's given one of the worst fatalities. It's essentially Johnny Cage's uppercut fatality again, except this time it only decapitates a single head. It's lazy, boring, and nobody remembers it. I do feel bad for whichever programmer was given the job of coming up with fatalities in that game. It's hard to come up with decent creative moves for characters when the characters themselves are not creative to begin with. Deadly Alliance is an entry in the series which is somewhat controversial for fans, with some liking the new, more complex direction they attempted to take the series, and others disliking it because it made so many changes to the formula. I personally at the time liked it, but it hasn't held up too well, and looking through the character list in making this video, I realised I'd forgotten almost all of the newcomers, especially the ones which didn't really make it into future games. Li Mei was a newcomer, but she wasn't done much of a service, being given a lazy and unremarkable fatality in which she kicks the opponent in the chest, waits a second, then kicks off his head. Granted, there should be more kick-based fatalities, but this one is just naff. Mortal Kombat 1 on the SNES is an anomaly. It came out at a time when the arcade game was being heavily criticised in the media for being too violent, and the games industry was getting very concerned that the governments of the West may intervene and impose strict guidelines on what they could produce and release, which in their eyes would stifle creativity. There was no rating system at the time, so every company had to decide on what they thought was best for their particular platform. Under the pressure of so much controversy, Nintendo decided that they had an obligation to censor Mortal Kombat 1 on its console, so that parents would feel happy letting their children play it. Later on, a rating system came into play, so Mortal Kombat 2 was released uncensored, but Mortal Kombat 1, the original, was fully tarnished. The blood was reduced and made to look like sweat, backstory was changed, stages were changed, but fatalities were hit the most. Fatalities were the most bloody and goriest things about the game, so it was likely they was going to be affected the most. This means that the fatalities often just look weird on the Super Nintendo. With all the gore and blood removed, they're often just a big kick or a heavy punch. These are definitely the worst fatalities ever for any Mortal Kombat game. However, this time, it's not completely the fault of the developer. It's not even really the fault of Nintendo, but of the culture at the time. It makes this version a weird anomaly, a sanitised Mortal Kombat, and it definitely suffered because of it, meaning that every single fatality on the original Super Nintendo version are the worst Mortal Kombat fatalities ever. Thanks for watching this little top 5. If you have any fatalities from a Mortal Kombat game you think should have been in this list, let me know in the comments below. Additionally, any ideas you have for a future video would be greatly appreciated. Please consider leaving a like or commenting and subscribing if you want to see more. Goodbye!